VR Chat, the next frontier. These are the experiences from Gunter's universe. His continuing mission? To seek out and connect with VR devs and passionate enthusiasts. To discuss theories, beliefs, and rhetoric of all kind. And to boldly go where no show has ever gone before.
Gunter's Universe. It's great to be here. How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah. I think everybody's doing pretty good, except for PK here. I saw the thumbs down on the intro, buddy. I don't.
That's good.
Oh, that was stereo. I'm sure it was an accident, right? The thumbs up is right next to the thumbs down. It's really great. Yeah, exactly. Tough crowd. That's all right. We still got a great show, and we'll turn them around. Great show tonight. Our guest tonight is Lesley Klassen. He is the co-founder and CEO of Campfire Union, and they create the creators of Flipside VR. Flipside is a creation of the Campfire Union. They are a small team of developers, artists, and designers who believe technology should be used to make things better. I agree with that. Flipside is the fastest way to create animated shows with nothing more than Oculus Rift, HTC Vive. You can produce your own animated shows in real time, whether they're recorded or streamed live. And with Flipside software, you can put actors directly into the virtual world to act as characters they portray. And Flipside currently supports the Rift and touch controllers, which we all love. Lesley, how's it going, dude?
It's going well, Gunter. Thanks for the coin.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see a picture of that soon, actually. Yeah, so I made these. Well, actually, I didn't make them. Adam J., which you guys know here, he made these 3D printed NFC chip Gunter coins, we were calling. It was for when I went out to the show, the SVVR show, back in, where are we now? Was that March?
This is back into March, yep.
Yeah, March, yeah.
So it's been 2 months since we've seen each other. I was passing those out, and Les, you're the first one to reach out and say, I would like to claim my prize. You found the secret Gunter coin, the first one to come here and be on Gunter's Universe with that. We'll show a picture here in a little bit, but before we continue on and get all into what Campfire Union is, to what all Les is up to in Flipside, let's say hello to Bob, a.k.a. Cause and Effects. What's going on, Bob?
Not too much. I'm doing well. How's everybody in the audience? Good? Gunter, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's always great on a Tuesday evening here on the East Coast in South Florida. This is my time to shine, and it's great to be around all you guys. Thanks for coming out. K-Dog's here. K-Dog,
Yo.
all of us actually, Bob. K-Dog, myself.
Oh, yeah.
In the hizzle. He's invisible. That's okay, because that's him recording. We all hung out and tried Flipside in person. That was really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Kenny.
Yeah, so I got to do that in person, and I had a lot of fun at the SVVR and met a lot of great people, including this guy over here.
It was awesome. It was good. It was good times.
Yeah.
Well, except what was actually kind of funny was, we're trying your software, and it was great because you were telling me about this, and I remember, well, it's been going on for a while, but October we really got into it. That was at the Oculus Connect conference.
Yeah.
And to see your product, it was really great. But then shortly after, the fire alarm went off, and everybody had to evacuate SVVR.
Yeah, I know.
It was burning down the house.
It was crazy. Yeah. That's because I was really cheap and demoing it in the hallway, so that's it was inevitable that was
It
going
was totally guerrilla style.
Cheap or smart, right?
Smart.
It actually reminds me of those early years. You were here forever. You've been in DK1 or maybe even before you've been playing with virtual reality. And that first year, what did we do? We were out in the whatever lobbies, in the hallways, people setting up shops.
Yeah.
OC1 just
some guy was doing this one.
Give me space.
There's this one guy that was doing he had this dummy with he was given hearts. I don't know, working on the heart and doing the breath and stuff. It was pretty hilarious, but it was good times.
Yeah, just bring your dummies out.
Bring your dummies out and do some CPR on it and see what happens.
Yeah, it's really the cool stuff is the guerrilla Gonzo style way of forget trying to get in the expo hall. There's people going to come right through this front entrance, and I'm right here, and kabam. And that's how we ran into you. And
this is how this happened. Yeah, so.
Yes. Let's see a couple more images. We want to see your beautiful face, see the Gunter coin, and also some old classic picture from the Ubercast. There's less passion in his Gunter coin. So yeah, Adam J, he's a 3D printer. He does 3D print artist. He's not a 3D printer. That he might want to be, and soon with cybernetics, he probably will. If anybody will, he will.
Just becoming a 3D printer.
He contracts at VR Chat, and he works on some of the first-party content, the first rune list, with like our capture the flag and stealing gold stuff. So he's really cool, and he thought, hey man, need some Gunter coin, and Adam's got really cool ideas, and he's far out. And so we made those, and he put NFC chips in them, so you put that right up to your phone, and you had NFC enabled, and it took you to my site, right?
It happened. Well, let's see. I laid the phone down on the counter beside the chip, and then suddenly, boom, your site popped up. And I'm like, that's the first time that's ever worked for me ever in any situation with NFC.
Fuck yeah.
So happy.
I thought no way it wasn't going to work for anybody.
It totally worked. It was like
NFC.
Yeah,
it was good times. I feel like there's a reason for having NFC on my phone now.
Thank you, Adam J, for giving people reasons to use NFC. The reason is because Apple doesn't have it, so it's like,
exactly.
Makes it pretty difficult.
Most people in the VR community now have Gear VRs, so they're rocking Samsung phones, which all have NFC.
True. Yeah. So, and I got lucky. There were some people that it worked. I was actually kind of surprised that people had it turned on, right? Because it's battery draining, isn't it? And you probably won't have those things on when you're at conferences, but that's cool. I hacked your phone almost. You're probably like, what? And then all this spyware and porn popped up after that.
Like, all the malware got installed.
Yeah, I guess that could happen, right? Like, if I was malicious, appreciate it. No problem. Ransomware, right? That's the topic.
Next thing you know, I'm paying you $300 to be here. It was crazy, but
that's exactly.
Totally worked out. So, sorry, that was part of the agreement. Right.
All right, let's dive into some interview stuff here. We'll start, some basics. How did you get started with Flipside? Where did the idea come from?
So we made like 12 apps, 12 and 3 we released to the Gear VR store, and we were like making these one-off things, and we're like, oh man, you know what? It's really hard to make. It's really hard to make games. It's really hard to make one-off like apps that are going to do well. And we thought, you know what? Let's do something way bigger. So after we made Lost Cities, we kind of did some brainstorming, and we thought, like, what is the kind of coolest thing we'd like to do in VR? And so I come from a TV and film and theater background. Right. So I used to do improv theater, and I'm like, the more you're in VR, the more you realize that, like, virtual reality is more like this, like, place where, like theater and, like, TV and, like, video games kind of converge. Like, even right here, for example, you've got this great example of, like, we're kind of like in a television studio here, right? And so I'm like, well, why don't we create a platform that lets people make shows specifically? And I know, like, VR Chat's like making the universe, and we're like, what if we just help people make shows?
Right.
And then we started doing it.
Because you have more than just, it's more than coming into a social VR app and putting on a show. You have your own platform, your own software, so you're able to deliver more than just coming into VR using tools, but you have a option for a director, somebody to be in 2D mode on their 2D interface and help direct and create and make things happen on the fly. That's cool stuff, right? Tell us about that.
Well, the cool thing, too, is, like, I'm sure you realize that, like, it's amazing that you have an audience here coming to check you out in VR. Mm-hmm. However, not a lot of people have VR equipment yet, so I'm sure it's nice to be able to reach out to those who just have, 2D screens. So we thought, why don't we make a director mode to help these shows tell stories to 2D audiences as well. So that's why we did that. And then we also have a, like, in-theater kind of view for the VR aspect of it as well. So we're doing kind of 2 shows, or 1 show for both screens, for VR and for 2D. Yeah.
two different ways to consume. That probably is the coolest part, to be quite honest. If I had to ask for something, that would probably be the, man, I wish somebody could come in here and just join up and see the show again, but don't have that either yet, but also that director thing, man, that's just, these are quite polished tools. When me, Kenny, and Bob tried them out, we were pretty blown away at just the plethora of things that you've thought out, from all the options, the director interface, which I want to go through those details too. When you're in VR as the host, you want things like a mirror, right? You want to be able to see what you're looking like behind you too, and so you can really perform. Like right now, I'm not sure what my elbows are looking like. I'm probably a bit janky, but that's just, how I am naturally.
Yeah, so we thought about it. It's like, if you're an actor, you want to see preview monitors. So, because I used to work as a floor director for semi-professional wrestling, which was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah. Oh shit, we're gonna have to talk about that in just a moment.
Yeah, that was probably the most fun I've ever done in television. But so anyway, as a floor director, what you have is all these like tools to help you see what's going on the live show, right? So you're like, so I'm like, well, as an actor, I want to see like, how do I look, and and we do multiplayer as well. So like, how are we looking together? And then we thought, okay, sometimes as a host, you need a script. So we built like a teleprompter. And then we're like, well, sometimes a host wants like a slideshow behind them. So we started thinking about shows, and we broke them down into things like a show could have a slideshow, a teleprompter, a Twitch chat. And we started thinking about all these custom activities that each show could have. And then we thought about it from how a director is going to help do it and help support the actor, and then how the actor will do it as well. So we've always think about two things, what the director and the 2D side does and what the actor inside does, and we do that simultaneously. Because we're nerds.
Excellent. You're nerds.
And so you can also have the person who's hosting the show, they can be director too, correct?
Yeah, so we've got like this one show we have called Earth from Up Here, which is like a 4-minute like news parody show. And so we let the host cue like laugh tracks, they're cueing the slides behind them, and they're changing their teleprompter at the same time while in VR. And then what I do outside of VR as the director producer is I'm cutting camera angles so that they're not thinking about the camera angles. But we're also building an entire camera angle switcher as well in VR as well, so people can do single person shows.
I think that's a big deal, right? You'll get a lot more people doing shows. People can experiment on their own before maybe deciding, oh, well, I want to make this bigger and bring on a creative director or photography or whatever you want to call that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
in some, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, let's see a little bit of Earth from Up Here, and you can talk about it while it's playing.
Sure. So
do we even have a weather guy?
This here
Beautiful
is all
outside.
shot.
Maybe we can,
live
every now and
recorded,
then, like
so
after I talk about stuff that has nothing to do with us.
This one here
somebody could
is
be like,
after.
hey, by the way, it's pretty beautiful
This is after
here.
we've done a show. We do a bunch of like fun little outtakes.
Everybody's
so
like,
just
what are they doing on Earth? Let's laugh
improvising
at them.
right now.
Nobody's had a job here, I think, the whole time I've lived here.
And we're working with a guy. You know what?
That was
We
shorter
did
than I
cool.
thought.
Do you have another? Do you
Yeah,
have
that
one
was not
called,
the one I was thinking.
There's one called the Marijuanas, or something like that.
Well, that one did pop out to me, but I didn't include. Okay, let me do that one. Let's do that. Just give me 60 seconds to
I watched
that.
I watched that one today.
Les. Yes.
Over here. I'm actually doing a theater production here in VR chat, and I was going to wonder if you could come by my room a little bit later and check it out, see what you think.
Cool. Yeah.
And talk
absolutely.
about some ideas with that.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I should have sent this to Gunter, but
Nah, I picked the wrong video. I actually saw something earlier that I wanted, and this was just an accident. But yeah, while I cue that up, tell me about the person, the actors, and what you got going on.
Yeah, so right now we work with actors to embody avatars, and so this guy, his Twitter handle is @StrangeHumorist, and he's a comic in San Francisco. His name's Jordan, and I keep pronouncing his last name wrong, so I'm just going to say Jordan and go to @StrangeHumorist to see what he does. He's a hilarious comic, and he comes in once a week, and we produce this show and it takes about 3 to 4 hours to produce, and we do one takes. And every camera angle that you see here is happening like live in these one takes. And we have these full intros and extras and the whole thing that happens with the show itself. And we started producing the show in February, in the middle of February, and since then we've produced 4 that we've released publicly and 4 that we did as rehearsal shows just to see if we could get it working right properly.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically the idea is we wanted a simple, fun news parody. Right now, I guess you would say that we're probably in the, like, it's easy pickings for making fun of politics. So we thought, let's do something like that. And it was just actually a way to prove the tech out, to show people that you can do shows inside of it. So
right, let's take a little bit look at the episode 2, the marijuanas. The marijuanas.
Hey, why are we still handwriting my scripts? Don't we have, like,
You
quantum
gotta turn up your
replicators or
system
something?
effects or sound effects under system.
Fast
So you guys know.
and far out.
Look, this is a great intro.
From up here.
that's all
with
done live as
Zeblo
well.
Gonzor.
Greetings, Grongites. Zeblo Gonzor contractually obligated to be here with you to serve up yet another steaming, hot, human pile of pathetic Earth updates. As Americans are dealing with problems bigger than they've ever seen before, Canadians have decided to deal with the problem of being geographically America's neighbors by passing laws to completely legalize the substance known as the marijuanas. Now, this may not have been the best idea, as a 40-year study has recently been concluded where they found that humans who smoke the marijuanas habitually are actually worse at their jobs than other people. Yeah, they figured that out because that study was supposed to take 2 weeks. I don't think anything could make these jobs.
Nice.
Speaking of doing a
All right, so you saw a zoom out and zoom back in, so those are obviously controls on the director side.
Yeah, and then we also do a full screen video in just a second that shows kind of like how you can go from this view straight into a video as well.
terrible job. Check out what happened to a human while traveling on the insanely slow and petroleum-fueled transportation service, United Airlines.
While on board a United Airlines flight, he was stung
do that
by a
all
creature
live
that
as well.
appears to be a scorpion. The small but
Nice.
terrifying animal somehow found its way on board and had apparently been hanging out in an overhead bin.
Now, Earth from up here has
So
actually
that's
obtained
kind of the basic. This
exclusive
only
footage
has
of a
3
United
basic camera
Airlines.
angles, but for every show that we do, we create our own custom camera setups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Excellent.
Probably
So-
don't really need more than 3 cameras for a news show.
yeah, exactly.
Right,
and
right.
if we had like a weatherman or some other multiplayer person, then we'd cut to bring other cameras in as well. And we have done full multiplayer shows, and we actually just did a 90-minute multiplayer stream. And it's always hard. You guys, I mean, VR chat's incredible. The fact that you can keep your audio going for so long. But as a small development team, to get the audio to work for 90 minutes and not have lip sync problems is pretty incredible. So we're really excited now. We've got these multiplayer shows working really well.
Nice. Oh, excellent! I can't wait to attend one of those.
Yeah. Everyone uses, I think, the same lip syncing tools now. I think pretty much we're just keeping up with the standards the best we can.
All right, let's
I like
take
that
a
his
look
desk is
at.
a spaceship.
Yeah, it's great design. Well, tell me about your team and who's involved in this, and because some great art here.
So what's cool is, basically what I typically do in the beginning of the show is I will roughly conceptualize something really rough and really basic, because my art skills are absolute crap. But I'll come up with a concept, and then I'll bring it to the team, and they'll polish the things that I was missing, and they add their 2 cents, and we all kind of collaborate on finding the concept. And then we have an art director, Rachel, who's also the chief creative officer, who directs our art. And she works with a 3D artist, and his name's Liam. And together they produce all the visuals that you see in front of you. And they're a really brilliant team. Liam won an Emmy Award for some of his work in, he worked on The Matrix, and he worked on Superman, and he also does stuff for like baseball and intros and all that kind of stuff. And he's our artist. He's a really brilliant guy. And Rachel is just a really brilliant, she's a brilliant illustrator who does all of our character work and does all of our kind of color schemes and set design stuff. So they work really well together. Then we have two developers. The CTO, Lux, is the one who's developed the core fundamentals of the Flipside framework. So he's making sure like all the machine aspects, like that the tools are all working together. And we have another developer named Ryan who does all the finesse stuff, like the noodle arms on the avatars, does all the kind of cool camera animations and stuff, and he understands how to do all those procedural animations and all those weird things that you need a developer for. So we work as a really good team because I have a producer background. I kind of come in at a higher level, and then the team comes in and really executes and like polishes it out, and we work really well together. And we've got another show called Super Secret Science Island, which was our first show that we did as well, and we did a similar kind of thing. So, yeah.
I got that queued up. Let's have a look at that as well.
Failed experiments 2B and Jennifer have set forth on a journey to find their missing creator, Dr. Whoosh. While searching the seas they are shipwrecked on Super Secret Science Island.
Probably the first one. Yeah, episode 1.
Oh, okay. Look, Jennifer, I need a little bit of space. I'm going to have myself a date with Amelia, if you don't mind. Okay?
What?
I'm just saying.
What am I supposed to do?
I don't know. Make yourself useful somewhere else, though, please.
Why do you get to tell me what to do?
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you not to do it here. Okay? So, give us some space, please. We're trying to have a great date.
No,
right?
no. I have a date too.
Yes, really.
So,
these are two improvisers.
Yeah, I do.
Just mock me then. Yeah,
comedy duo, right?
No.
Yeah,
I'm dating,
so they're called Bucko Comedy, and it's,
Kyle.
They're
what?
She's dating Coconut.
Yeah,
and
he and I have been. How long has it been since sweetheart? sweet thing? Yeah. It's been it was long distance for a while, but we came back, so yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Ooh. What's that, Amelia? Oh, Kyle looks a little furry. Oh, well.
So there's a game in improv called the status game.
Yeah, well, we are.
So this is a great example of playing a
products,
status game where someone's always one-upping them, you know?
He enjoys my humor, and I enjoy
improv works really well in
properties.
VR.
So
fine.
Yeah, we had some. We were playing with this.
Great time, aren't we,
Well,
Amelia?
it seems like we're always playing this sort of improv and role playing, but there was a person, Artemis, that was teaching us improv because he was studying it, and it was really great for a few months. We had a black box theater, and we were really exploring, a lot of that improv, and just bringing in different avatars for characters, and
it's actually works really well. So this is actually a husband and wife duo, and so Aaron Murky is our 2B character, the test tube baby. And then you have Lauren, and last names. I think it's. I'm already going to try. I'm going to butcher her last name. Lauren. She's playing our Jennifer character, and the two of them are they've been working together for 5 or 6 years, and they're from I'm from Winnipeg, so like most people don't know where Winnipeg is, but it's like central Canada, this little tiny little city in central Canada, and they're like a really popular improv troupe down there, and so they were willing to kind of test out the Flipside tool set for us on our first show, so it was really cool.
Yeah, I'm digging it. There's like 4 episodes up now. There's like 5 of the other show.
Yeah, we're just getting into it, and right now we're actually looking for content creators. We want to bring more people in, do more shows, and ultimately it'd be kind of cool if we could use Flipside to create shows and even play them back in like VR chat or something like that.
Right.
If you could like kind of create them in one place and then being able to like spread them around to, and so and that's something I know that in the big picture I think that's where it's going. But right now it's about like how do you hook up the wire from this platform to that platform, and it can get kind of complicated, right? So
we always want, and we think it's we could do all this because it's virtual reality, but of course scope and got to keep things under control a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, once you start actually making things, you realize, oh man, for everything you do, there's so many consequences to, like for example, changing your set has implications, and the scale of things, and it goes on forever and ever and ever, right?
That's probably why I don't change things so much, because then it tends to be a lot of work. Because there's just those little things like,
How are you streaming this right now? Are you streaming this on YouTube live or
Twitch? Yeah, twitch.tv/Gunter444.
Okay, so where's your camera now for the stream?
Yeah, right here, the green floating camera, and you'll see K-Dog's name tag too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So this is
you'll see it move around. Yeah.
So you're camera operating right now, K-Dog.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
I can switch around at different angles, kind of similar to what you're doing, but yours definitely is a little bit more advanced than this one. Like, there's no like smooth transition. It's literally just like, okay, you're teleported here, now you're here. But with you can actually like, have a fly in or pan. And,
yeah, we have all the jib arm moves and all that kind of stuff. We made a steady cam too that you can grab and like run around with and like.
Nice.
Do like
super cool. Yeah, we've had some cool stuff here too. The in-house kind of camera stuff, but it's pretty taxing on the environment.
I can see.
Yeah, this is just an avatar, but the cameras we've been building and playing with, and being more sophisticated, they can be taxing. And then you got a lot of custom avatars, which we love, but it's a challenge. Yeah,
the more cool things you have in your audience, the harder it is to hit frame rate and all those challenges, and the more things you have streaming out and recording, and I understand completely. So
when we got to try this in March, what sort of stuff, what things have you added since we've got to try it?
We've added, we have 2 new avatars that we've added. They're like dinosaur avatars, and so we've also added a new set called the Dino Diner. So it's this like diner set, and you can kind of the idea is that you can tell stories in a like diner environment. We've got HTC trackers for the Vive we've got working on. So one of our avatars has got like, I
saw that.
He's stomping around with his feet, which is kind of cool.
I've got an example of that.
There we are.
There you go.
It was very early on getting. And
oh man, we can't wait for those trackers, right?
Oh man, those trackers are going to change things. I can't wait for that. So
that's great.
So we got a bunch of those things, and then like right now, we're in private alpha. So what private alpha means is that we're talking to different companies who want to create shows. We're trying to find the right fit, and then we want to start creating more shows. So that's really honestly where we're at. We're trying to bring more people in to create shows. We've added a brand new sound system or audio system, so the quality of the audio has been improved. And that's the tough one. Audio is really hard. And and then I think that's. I mean, we've got recording in VR and playback in VR working more seamlessly, both for multiplayer and single player. And just like there's all these things you're constantly working on to kind of reach kind of. What you consider kind of version 1, and we're still we're still not even a beta 1 yet. So, so we're doing all that stuff, and now we need to find some more cool shows. And the challenge is that content creators typically don't make a cajillion dollars, so they can't pay for a cajillion dollars worth of production.
Sure.
So we're looking for creators that actually have 3D art skills already, so that way we can just work with them and just kind of let them do all the production work, and then we just do all the kind of the technical producing for it.
Yeah.
Do you plan in the future to add support for things like Morph 3D, where people can go and create all their own avatars for their show and just bring them in?
We've been thinking about Morph 3D. We met them at SVVR. They're definitely on our radar. It's going to be one of those things where we only add new features in until we actually find there's a need for it. So if there really is a demand for people to have their Morph 3D characters in our platform, then yes, we would totally add it. It makes total sense. I think the one thing that Morph 3D wants to do, though, is they also want to be able to like monetize their avatar creation in that process, and so we have to figure out kind of like how we're going to end up making money. So if it ends up that we're making money on avatars, then suddenly you have a conflict there. But then I think at the end of the day, it's trying to give as much freedom to the creator as possible. So yeah, I think we probably would. We just do that.
Before I keep going, I had your guys' kind of intro video pulled up, and we should definitely have a take a look at that. This is a really great video.
Flipside could be the new way to create animated content.
Because I'm an actor and an improviser, I get to literally see a creation I've made instantly.
Instead of having an actor in a big motion capture suit in this like big studio, we can get rid of all of that. Now you can just like hop in like off-the-shelf software, have this app that'll let you create something that normally would take ages to make.
So being a YouTube creator, we have to basically we batch capture a lot of our content already, and this allows you to do it instantly. So I can do 10 episodes a day.
You know, Aaron and I are in separate rooms, but it feels like he's right there.
Nothing, I just want to ask you a question.
Sure.
And then it's almost like when you come out
There
of the
they are.
VR, it's like, oh, I'm by myself. That's very weird to get your brain around.
What am I supposed to do?
I don't know. Make yourself useful somewhere else.
Why do you people tell me what to do?
What's that noise?
My favorite thing about Flipside is
the
the
opening
fact
potato
that,
chips. It's like they're right here.
that I don't have to edit anything.
I'm getting hungry
As a
just thinking about it.
I know, me
That is
too. I'm like,
insane.
yeah,
I mean, you need someone to cut to the cameras.
Immersive chips.
But
Oh yeah, I want to pause. The reason I want to pause is because I want to ask a question. So this is, you can see part of the director view. You want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about this?
You need a laser pointer. I'm like, meow.
I know, it's true.
But yeah, so basically you can see like we have 8 cameras that are all set up there, and then we automatically connect to OBS. So we use something. There's this thing that OBS is the streaming software, right? That like a lot of people.
That's what we're using.
Shows.
Yeah, that's what's in here.
And yeah, so we have this thing where we're using something that OBS has. It's called OBS WebSockets to nerd out. And so what that means is our application can actually take over and control all the record functions and streaming functions on OBS through the software.
Oh, cool.
So when you click on record there, it's recording a show that works for VR, and it's triggering the OBS's record at the same time simultaneously. So that's how we get 2 shows in one recording, right? And then the camera angles that we all set up before each show. So we have a camera angle system. So this is kind of cool because if you've done like television before, what you'll do is you'll have like the actor will come in and they'll be like, you want to have certain marks that you create and you want to have like lighting cues. Well, we do that. We bring the actor in, we like adjust the lights, we do all the camera stuff beforehand, and then we kind of save all those settings into the camera angle side. And then we also allow the cameras to be cut, or they can also be jib-armed around, or they can be like dissolved or faded in. And then we just kind of set that up for each show. And it's funny because an actor who is 6 feet tall, and the next time the actor comes in, they're 5 feet tall, suddenly all those camera angles don't make sense anymore. So we're learning some of the nuances of understanding like who your talent is for a show and how that affects all the different ways that you have to set it up. Right? And then we have this thing, if you look, you can see it says clips, activities, cue, and takes. Well, under activities, you see slideshow and Twitch chat and teleprompter. So if there's an activity that requires, if there's a show that requires a teleprompter, well, the director just clicks on teleprompter, and then the teleprompter pops up in VR. And then as long as we've preloaded a script in there, the script's there for them to do their intros and that kind of stuff. Kind of like you were doing your disclaimer in the beginning, having a teleprompter would just like let you just kind of whip through that and kind of flip the next thing. And then our Twitch chat, you click on Twitch chat and a window pops up in VR. Window pops up in VR, and you have your Twitch chat kind of flipping by, and you can kind of check out what's going on. So what we do for each show, we find out if there's a custom activity that we might have to make. So it depends. And we've designed this system, which is cool. But if you make an activity for one show, it can be carried across to all the shows. So
Nice.
every time we make a new activity, a show can take on that activity. So for example, an activity would be like a laser pointer. Let's say you wanted a laser pointer. So we could create a laser pointer act. Let me see if I can do this. Come on, I can do it. Get my fingers in. Come on. Almost. How do I do it? Yes.
A this is what you're looking for?
Laser pointer activity. Took a little too long. Then you can click it, turn it on, and then suddenly, the actor might have a laser pointer that's viewable to everybody that can point at things. And then if there's a different show, maybe we want to do a different talk show completely, we could bring that activity, like the laser pointer, into that other show as well. So they're all modular kind of ideas, and the way the platform grows is for every kind of show that happens, we just ask ourselves, hey, do we need a new special activity for that show? And right now the platform is for professionals, creators, right? But we fully plan on bringing this out to everybody where they can start creating their own shows as well. We're starting right now with like this because we just know that in the beginning we have to do things right with people who make a lot of shows so we can learn from show creators before we give it out to the public. So that's what phase we're in now with the company.
You guys are doing it smart. I like seeing the evolution and that you're not just taking, hey, take our beta and now everybody makes stuff. You're really controlling and being smart about it. And you can't grow too fast anyways. It's just it'd be too many people saying, I need this, I need this activity, there's this problem, there's that problem.
Yeah. So we'd rather work with somebody who has a point of view around their show, and we can say, okay, that makes sense. Then we ask ourselves, if other people were to make shows, would they also like to use some of these features? And then we just bring it in. And the challenge, this, because you created Gunter's Universe, and there's only one Gunter's Universe set, right?
That's right.
So if we were to release this to the public, how do we create sets and show ways for people to make shows that feels unique to each person? So we will have to figure out how to create some asset packs, but how do we make it unique? And I think, for example, Mindshow is doing an awesome job creating these little moments in VR where you kind of act and create stuff. The challenge with Mindshow is that you have a limited number of avatars and limited number of sets. So visually, it all kind of starts looking similar. And I think we're going to have the same problem when we figure out how to bring this out to everybody, because how do we create the diversity of sets and props without spending a lot of money customizing everything?
So that was going to be one of my...
Go ahead, Bob.
So that's going to be one of my questions. So how does your product differ from Mindshow? How does Flipside differ from Mindshow?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well.
Well, the thing is, I guess we have a Mindshow Alpha, and I've been trying it out. And right now, I feel like Mindshow is a little bit more like it's asynchronous storytelling, and it's also sometimes I'd even call it video karaoke at times, where you can kind of react in a scene. And I feel like they're really approaching things from almost a user-generated, it's like a blend of a game and a show creator. Mind you, I'm pretty sure Mindshow is going to be getting into a whole bunch of different show creation tools. So fundamentally, I think we're all just Mindshow is approaching it from this way, and we're approaching it from this way. And like all industries, give us 3 or 4 years, and we're going to be converging in the same spot. Because the demand for people to create content in VR is really high. So we may look different now, but I think we're all kind of going to be in a similar space, and we just have to make sure that we can survive, and we don't otherwise, you know how it is, right? How is alt space different than VR chat? How is it's really you're solving the problem in a different way, but fundamentally you're making the universe or the metaverse, right? So we're just making show creation.
So the social VR umbrella or VR entertainment is what we're falling into, right? Mindshow, specifically what I like to do with shows like this, and what Flipside's doing. Yeah, and we all want, of course, to have audiences and
Yeah, this is exactly it. Like you are doing exactly what we want to do, and you've done it much earlier, and you were way too early to the game, which is really cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I want a director tool.
So, we should figure out how to do a show together. We got to figure out how to make it fit into the VR chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love this place and want to continue to building things here, but
yeah, of course.
I love us. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the tools in there are like the things that we need.
Yeah.
We've had a few people
and VHS not specializing in that, right? This is something that I want to grow out of here, but there's only limited resources and
for sure. Like, I mean,
get access to.
The challenge for VR chat is like when you're creating the universe or the metaverse, right? It's like, wow, you don't have a lot of time to like solve these very specific problems.
Yeah.
And we decided that we don't think we could even come close to what is happening here in VR chat. So we're like, what if we just spend all our time just solving this little problem called shows and worry about how that fits into the bigger picture as VR evolves?
Cool. Let's dial it back. We didn't get to learn too much about your background because you do have TV production or theater background. Can you share that?
Yeah, so I was part of an improv troupe for 4 years in Winnipeg. We did about 75 shows. Winnipeg actually happens to have like a really talented improv scene in Canada. And so, and some of the best teachers in the industry are there. So, I got to learn from really talented folks. And so, yeah, I did that for 4 years. So it was a lot of fun. And then on the TV side, I worked as basically as like a television assistant that worked and a floor director. And I did work for like all the big Canadian sports teams. So in the U.S. you have the Super Bowl. We've got something called the Grey Cup, and so I worked on like the Grey Cup team where we're like managing and creating like 18 camera setups in a big stadium and setting up and all that kind of stuff. And I'd worked on that wrestling show, and then I also was an independent director for many, many years. I used to do a lot of corporate stuff. So like I did stuff for Boeing, and I did stuff for like Estee Lauder and some of these big corporate brands. And fundamentally, I used all that time to learn about the process of production. So, working with crews of like 12 people and where you're building sets and you're bringing in people with jibs and steady cams and dollies, and you start learning the technique of production. And I've always been a technical person, so one of the reasons why I never really jumped out of corporate world into, let's say, like more known television shows is that, well, first of all, I don't think there's a lot of money in it in the end game. It's a really tough world to make money. Even a film director, there's so few film directors that make money. But fundamentally, I'm like a technical person. I like to know how things work, and so I tended to make things that were very technical when I made them. So, yeah, and I did that for like 7 years. I had a company that did that.
Freaking awesome! This is perfect for you. Being able to
my dream.
Do full body motion tracking, real time.
Nerdy, technical. I get to do all the fun stuff. I mean, the product's a collaboration. Obviously, we've all put our energy into this product. It's just, a lot of the stuff that I learned on set, I bring to the table when we do product development meetings, right? So, but it's a dream app for sure.
So, how did you go from television production to creating the Campfire Union?
Oh yeah, so this is funny.
Great question.
So I was working at this so after I did that, I was an education product developer for 4 years with the company, and we were making this welding app. And at the time, the DK1 Kickstarter got released, and I convinced the project lead that hey, this is a welding app. Why don't we do it in VR? So they bought a DK1, and I tried it out. The moment I tried it out, I had one of those, oh my god, VR, right? And then I got my own DK1, and I've never used Unity before. I was always a project manager at that time, so I can program. I have a half-finished business computing degree, and I know how to do some C programming. I can model. I can do just enough that people laugh at me. So what happened is I got Unity. I downloaded some Unity assets, and I created this, like, there's one big tree over here, another big tree over here, and I created some stars, and I used some fog, and I started building this, like, environment, and I was looking up at the stars and having one of those moments in VR where, like, this is crazy, this is amazing. And that very same night, I went to this park that we had, and I looked up, and there was a tree on one side of me and a tree on the other side of me, and I had this moment where, like, this little zap in the brain where I'm like, that made me remember the VR experience I had earlier on in the day. And when I realized that VR can trigger that kind of memory response and that kind of emotional moment, it was like instantaneously I felt like I found the medium that I wanted to forever be in. And at that point in time, I had two co-founders that were leaving their jobs, and they wanted to start a company, and I wanted to start a company, and we're like, hey, let's start a company. And we all kind of took the risk and jumped in, and we started making content pretty early on. Like, we made a meditation app way back. We made a virtual tower crane. We've done like just a ton of stuff in the last 3 and a bit. Trying to figure out
some of it. I found a little demo reel.
Oh god, this is so
of your old stuff. But we need this history. It's important history.
Oh man,
yeah, it's 2015 or maybe before.
Yeah, actually, we 2014. This was early, like before Tilt Rush. We were playing with the Razor Hydra, doing like painting.
Oh man, I have trauma from those. I'm kind of twitching, thinking of Hydras right now. Yikes.
Oh my god, this was a lot of fun. We did this in a game jam, and people just loved it. I totally forgot what the demo was out. This one was.
In front of you is a miniature.
We wanted to play with scale, so we made this little diorama of a manufacturing plant
and take a closer look
to basically teach kids about jobs in advanced manufacturing. And we were playing with like a little jumbotron in there, and
like products,
jumbotron.
Weld and perform quality checks.
And so we just kind of
is a robotics manufacturing engineer that works with robots.
It's really fun.
It's really showing you a job. I saw like the salary on the side, and there's description there in the jumbotron. I mean, that's what a cool way to like look. What job do I want to do? I can now in VR explore it like that.
Totally. And we did this experience. We launched this for the Gear VR, but it was on Oculus Share before that. And
rest in peace.
Yeah, this was just Oculus Share. Whatever that became, but. The idea was like, because I think every single person I've ever talked to says we should make a meditation app in VR, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I've done it. It's hard. it's people don't actually meditate by seeing like bright pixels shining in their face, but I've stopped worrying about that. So yeah, it's my brother and I wrote the music for this actually. Cool. I play synth. My brother plays he plays this really awesome Moog guitar. And then we got into, I think the next one is going to be this is our tower crane that we did. This was awesome. You know what, this could still be something, but we just, you know how it is. You do a project and kind of put it down. So this one, this was for a client. And so we wanted to recruit kids into the construction trade. So we said, well, let's go and put them somewhere impossible up in the tower crane. And we actually climbed the tower crane together and took a bunch of photos. This one was a hackathon thing we did where we're talking about using the Razor Hydra to detect the range of motion for like doing physiotherapy stuff.
Quickly, did you want to talk any more about the crane since it was really cool and it went by so fast?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, what we did is we actually had like 220 odd kids try the tower crane out. This was DK1 at the time.
Oh, yeah.
We started this before that Yana relaxation one. And the cool thing about this is very early on from a design perspective, I knew that you had to create pivoting experiences that have no real like tracking with the DK1, kind of like the Gear VR. So it worked out really well to create a tower crane because all a tower crane does is pivot. So when we were thinking about the design of what to do, I just kept on thinking, well, what kind of pivoting things are in construction? And then we thought, like, what's the coolest thing you could be on? And of course, like, it's a tower crane, right? Kids just there's a little timer there. It says 1:45 left. So we gave people 3 minutes, and they had a goal to like go pick up a load and drop off a load. And it's funny because you give kids, like these high school kids, you give them like a goal, and they start like super competing. And next thing you know, we had little whiteboards with like leaderboards that were popping up, and like it was cool.
Did any real crane operators use it, and did they find it realistic?
Yeah, we actually had, we brought in a real crane operator in to test it out, and the challenge that we had at the time, because we weren't really great at understanding the physics in Unity, is that we kind of had like a pendulum approach to the rope, and we couldn't get it to not, like, there's some subtleties, but we actually got pretty good feedback. Yeah. And we actually made a multiplayer version of this actually too.
Trolley out, great job.
Is there an option with a wrecking ball?
Yeah, we actually at the time actually the Miley Cyrus's song was coming in, and we were thinking of actually doing a little cutout and doing a little viral thing for it.
That's brilliant.
That would have been fun. This one is just like the idea is that if you could test range of motion, right? You could give people an at-home VR kit that would let you trace a line in VR. And once you've traced the line, it tells you what your measurement is, 143 degrees. And we developed a back end to it where you can log in and take a look at the exercise and like chart out your last attempt, the next attempt. And we did that over like 2.5 days. We built this entire thing. And the funny thing is nobody understood it.
But it's awesome though. Like, it's what I really like about you guys is, I love games, man, but you guys are tackling different things. You guys aren't really hitting up the games. You're solving problems, making tools.
Yeah, we tried Lost Cities, which was really hard.
Yeah,
really hard.
Too. Why is it here? Let's take a look at it. Tell us about it and what was hard.
First of all, gamers are the hardest audience to please.
Interesting.
Howdy, Explorer.
Yeah.
You are about to embark on a series of expeditions in search of lost cities.
This card game.
Can you finish them with the most profit?
We had to like completely redesign it because it didn't really work for VR, and I ended up actually getting to speak about the game board and how we made it at Oculus Connect 2. We were the first app to use Oculus's social tools, and we were the first to launch as a multiplayer on the Oculus platform.
That's rad.
Yeah, so really
now,
for us, this just became
and start exploring.
It was more of like
I'm actually in the desert.
It was more about developing a relationship with Oculus by the end of it, because we realized we weren't going to make the money back on it. Because games are really hard to make money on, and I mean, there's only a handful of game studios that are doing it. I mean, Alchemy Labs are killing it. There's a few others, but there's not too much more that's really doing it.
So this was based on like a card game from 1999 by
Reiner Knizia.
Knizia, yeah. And so this was originally a video game for the Xbox 360. So did anyone on your team like previously play this on the Xbox, or did they play the card game originally?
So yeah, actually one of our co-founders, John, has had the card game like since the beginning of time. So we all loved the game. That we loved it. And so we had lots of experience with it. The challenge with that is that, you see, we wanted to create something that you could play and you could see your opponent really nicely in front of you. And most card games, if you really want to do them well in VR, you kind of have the cards sitting up in front of you, like kind of like flat in front of you. But we also wanted to make the environment really relevant. So because the Lost Cities happens in a desert, in underwater, on a mountaintop, in a bunch of different places. And so we're like, well, how do we... So we had to change the whole idea of going from cards to tiles and then bring the board down a bit more. And so we radically changed the game, and that was a tough problem to solve. And then we also realized that we also licensed a technical math game for mobile VR audiences. And I'm like, VR is a very tiny market already. Now we have to think about who likes math games in VR. We were shooting ourselves in the foot from the day one, really. It works better if you have, millions and millions of users, like 50 million users like Xbox has, and now you're playing a card game, and there's going to be a percentage of people that love it.
Right.
But, you learn those things as a company, right?
Cool. Got some more, Bob?
Yeah, so this was, you'd mentioned that this was the first third-party title to be released on Oculus, the Oculus social platform. So how closely did you work with them on integrating with the social platform?
Yeah. So what happened is we ended up presenting our work in progress at Oculus Connect 2, and we had someone from their social team come up afterwards and say, hey, would you like to join our beta? And they think it would be a nice fit. And so we said yes. And so we were working on it since 0.5 was the name of the beta at the time. And we worked very closely with them. Our whole philosophy as a studio was if we were going to get involved with the platform, we were going to kind of be the annoying ones that kind of poke them a lot and ask a lot of questions because we wanted them to remember us. Because all it takes is some AAA company to come in and suddenly, maybe you're not remembered as well. So we were really active on that, and we solved a whole bunch of problems with them.
That's great.
Cool. In fact, if you... Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, the cool thing about that is, because we work so closely with their social team, when Oculus Rooms was announced in October of 2016 at OC3, we got to be on the keynote slide. And, as a small company in little town Canada, for us to, work our way up to being on a keynote was a big accomplishment. Even if the revenue coming in from the game wasn't, paying our bills, it just felt good to be recognized,
Congrats.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks.
That is great. I mean, loved seeing a bunch of our friends getting recognition or working with Oculus, hearing the stories of good and bad, and that's what it was about: getting to know and networking with everybody and getting the brand out there, starting, get going. Even though we knew the money isn't gonna come very fast.
Yeah, the money is trickling in.
Yeah.
So another app that you worked on, Scout 360. So tell us a little bit about Scout 360 app and who's using it.
So I have to give credit to Rachel and John on our founding team. They pretty much completely on their own developed that app. And so there's this museum in Canada called the Canadian Museum of Human Rights. There are only maybe 4 national museums in the country, and they're one of them. And so we built an app for them called Weaving a Better Future. So if you go onto the Gear VR store, there's an app called Weaving a Better Future. And we had to figure out how to bring in a full 360 player that had closed captioning in the bottom that was, which was dynamically loaded from a file, creating a full menu system, and just a lot of functionality that Unity doesn't really like to do with the 360 video playback. It's not really that great at it. So we really built an entire 360 tool set that lets people create 360 content. Then at the same time, we make that content work on an iPad as well. So there were actually quite a bit of innovations on the web VR stuff. We used web VR to do all our 360 content on the iPad. So that's a whole other realm of stuff. And we actually worked
there's also a bunch of other accessibility features that you had on there, right?
Yeah, so we did everything from like color blindness. So color blindness, a gaze cursor that is time-based because the Human Rights Museum, the Canadian Museum of Human Rights, has requirements that, if people, if they don't have arms, how are they going to interact with a touchpad at the side of your VR? If someone has sight issues, how are we going to make sure that all the color blindness stuff is working? And then we also did the closed captions were done in such a way that they were, in front of you. And every I think 45 degrees, we had the closed captions going. And we had to hit all of their human rights standards, which was actually really unique for a 360 app at the time. And we just kind of pushed it really hard, and it worked really well.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to accessibility, so it's very commendable, to be quite honest.
It pushed us from a design-wise into a space in an area that we weren't didn't realize. And then when you start going in a little deeper, it's like, accessibility in VR is a major problem, and we're not doing. There's a lot of people who are doing cool stuff, but it's a major problem. Yeah.
And it's not going to get. It's hard to solve because it's just more scope, more added on. I mean, the audience is limited. But it's good to have the experience because that's going to be very important. And Kenny's got a question, but then I do want to ask you about with Flipside and accessibility, if there's anything going to come there. But K-Dog.
Yeah. So I advocate for that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, I might be speaking at NYU about accessibility in virtual reality and augmented reality. I also spoke at MIT about the same subject. Cool. Like some of the promises and perils of designing for virtual reality and how it impacts people with visual impairments.
Yeah, and then even you start getting into the tracking stuff, and you're like, oh, we assume everyone's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and it's just an assumption, right?
Yep,
go
ahead.
Yeah. No, completely. Go ahead.
I have a friend who, I don't know if it's a developmental disorder, but his hands weren't fully developed, so they're kind of pointed inwards, and they're a lot smaller. And so he can't grasp a Vive controller that is completely incompatible with his anatomy. I think the Oculus Touch one is a little more suitable. So for traditional games, like when he's holding the Xbox controller, he just holds it in his lap and he presses the buttons with his hand. He can't really grab it and hold on to it. So so those are definitely, I've seen it firsthand myself. Physical.
Totally. Yeah. What'll be nice is when we can kind of get hand track. I think the Leap Motion is probably doing the right thing around just tracking hands. I don't know if they have any algorithms for people who have hands that are shaped differently, and they probably don't yet. But
probably not. Yeah.
But the idea of using something that just tracks your hands and doesn't require controls, I could see being a solution there. We haven't done too much on accessibility to the Flipside yet, and it's for the very same reason why it comes to scope. One of the things we've realized is that over the years of developing VR, it's just there's so many additional things that you have to think about when you're doing a VR project. And for us right now to do a whole accessibility layer, it's something we'd have to definitely put into the pipeline. But yeah, it's going to be a hard one to solve because it's going to be interesting to see what kind of performers and actors and what their needs are and how that'll kind of relate to things, So we haven't tried that yet, but it's we've done it with one app before, so we could definitely bring some of our knowledge into it.
So
you're saying
go ahead, Gunter.
I think to appease gamers is really hard to do, and I think that we see that a lot in a similar thing with what we're doing in VR, or we're just used to our tech being really good or being polished, or big companies building it, and just if it doesn't have those features or that, then it's failing or something. So I feel like it's always been a struggle to show how amazing some of this stuff is and how usable and how great it is. But try not to compare it to some of the big giants, and maybe we're spoiled, right? Because things have gone so fast. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, what Robo Recall, $10 million released for free. Well, okay. I mean, I would love it if someone gave me $10 million to make something for everybody too. It'd be amazing. But I don't have $10 million. Right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But you're in Boost though, right?
Yeah, we're at Boost. Yeah, I'm actually chatting from you from the Boost dorms right now.
Hey.
Wow.
Cool.
So how's that experience going? How has that like helped you out as far as like stuff?
What we realized is like, when you're stuck in a smaller place like Winnipeg, which has its benefits, but you can't compare yourself to other developers very easily. So we came down here and we started showing off Flipside, and we realized that we actually had a really awesome app. And we didn't really know how awesome it was until we started coming down here and showing it to people. And being down in San Mateo or just by San Francisco in the Silicon Valley, you just like have that many more times to meet people quicker and faster. All the meetups and all the conferences are either in LA or they're in San Jose or they're in San Francisco. And I'm like, being stuck in Winnipeg, you can't share your work as easily because VR is a very, like, you've got to be in VR to really experience it, right? So that, and then now we're doing fundraising right now, and that's a whole other beast, trying to figure out how to raise money, and everyone asks us, and how are we different than Mindshow, and how are we different than this company, and totally, it's been a benefit. It's a 10 out of 10 experience. I would and also the thing is I live in a dorm, right? So I like crawl out of bed into work, which is across the street, and then I crawl back into the dorm at the end of the day. So, there's no excuses to not work because that's all you really have here is work. So, so that's been good too.
Who's in the program right now with you guys?
There's some really cool VR companies. There's a whole bunch of companies, but I'm going to touch base on the VR companies. Masterpiece VR is a really cool. It's like. Yeah. Some of you may have tried it already. It's actually, and there's a big upgrade coming. They're in the program. They do like, it's almost like Tilt Brush meets Medium, and they're doing a bunch of other stuff. And there's this one called a group called Beast Pets, and they're making these like dragon pets. It's like they're little virtual pets, and you want to like you're petting them and you're rewarding them. And you're playing fetch, and they're really awesome. So they're really cool. Some neat augmented reality apps. There's one app called Exploder, which is like a platform that lets people create these little augmented like tabletop experiences. There's a writing app that's being created right now called Galatea, which is like thinking about how do you approach writing for the virtual medium, and what kind of tools, like a Trello kind of tool set you can use to like build out ideas, Virtual Speech, which is a pretty popular speech app. This is some really cool founders and some really cool apps that I think, for me, my favorite right now is Beast Pets. Just because no one's really solved the virtual pet really well, and I think they're working on a pretty good approach to it. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So, who doesn't want a companion, a familiar?
They're adorable. They're like they're so cool, and you can throw them around and beat them up too.
Kind of makes me think of like what I'm like my wife's pet then, I guess, right? No.
There was like a long time ago. They had those like little pocket things where you take care of like a little pet.
Tamagotchis, yeah. Tamagotchis.
Never had one.
Yeah, they're like they're like the VR version of that. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So something like that, but now the whole Alexa and the talking to your computer and all that we need that stuff too, right? I want to be able to talk to my computer in VR, and excited for all the work that's going on in those spots, because obviously it's coming.
Oh yeah. We're gonna human just voice interface is gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. That'll take a lot of the requirement of using interface is so hard in VR anyway, right? So
yeah.
There's a cool company called Moteboat. Ever heard of Moteboat? You just Moteboat, and what you do is you just you say I want a flower, and a flower pops up, and you can grab it and place it in the space, and it's just
it's sort of a dream-like thing there. That's really so, to
it's
be
like
able to say
almost.
like that, but eventually you say things and it happens. Basically you're creating shit with your words. That's
exactly
something you've never really been able to do, or to see it instantly from deed, from thought to deed, boom.
Yeah, I think that stuff's gonna be cool too. Moteboat, and they're a Boost company as well. I just noticed they have a watch. I just didn't realize that till now.
What time is it?
It is. Let's see. The small hands app. It's 1:30. It's 1:30.
All right. 1:30. That's good. In the afternoon, I hope. Actually, it's probably 1:30 for some people. Some of the EU folks. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of cool. Boost's been pretty awesome. They're really they've been very supportive. And if anyone's doing their VR startup, you should definitely pitch to them. They're a good team.
Yeah, Pixel Rips come through there, or Janus, and I know there's a bunch that I'm forgetting.
Yeah. There's there's so many. Realities.io.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those guys are great too.
Yeah, they are good. So
So we're going to be winding down a little bit, but any questions, just feel free to throw them out.
I actually had one.
Wow, what's up, dude?
So, looking at your editor, especially the early thing, it reminds me a lot of what we were doing with Quake and Quake 2 movies way back in the day, where we had basically a tool called Key Grip, which would allow you to basically rework camera demos that you'd recorded, and you would record it all live. You do it all live, which was great. One of the things that was really interesting with those early Quake movies is that
show going on. Hold on.
Okay. Let me know if I break up. But one of the things that was really interesting about those early movies is that it worked really well for comedy because they looked kind of silly anyway, and so basically, if you were doing a comedy, the innate comedy of the avatars kind of added to it because they already looked kind of dumb. But when you were trying to do drama, it was a lot more difficult because you had to overcome the kind of silliness of the visuals to get the drama in there. So I was curious, with what you guys are doing, it seems like it works great for comedy, but I'm wondering if you've given any thoughts to trying to support more dramatic shows and how you might go about doing that.
We have just got into this very debate, like last week, and we are not opposed to any genres. Right now we're focused on talk show, game show, and comedies. Those are the three that we're interested in. However, it was John, our CTO, was he felt it would be kind of a travesty if we didn't have people making really amazing, dramatic, compelling content on the platform as well, just from a creator's perspective. So it comes down to the point where once we start getting really emotional performances from our avatars, then we can start playing with that. I think tracking, we have this. There's this suit that we're getting. I'm so bad with names.
Me too.
They're starts with an R. It's a bodysuit that just released.
Is it Cryo VR? Is that what it is?
It's not Cryo VR, but it's a competitor to Cryo VR that's just released. Just in April, they just released their suits.
In April, that's something new.
Yeah.
It's not Perception. It's not Prio.
It starts with an R. It's like that. So when we get full body tracking, I think we can bring a lot more grace and movement to things as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to add a lot to bringing drama. And then I think also it's going to be eyes and facial stuff.
Can you mute? Hear a lot of noise from you.
No problem.
Cool, man.
Yeah, my bad.
Thanks, dude.
To just get the eyes and the facial stuff, I think that's going to be a really key thing. I mean, when you get a close-up of a face and it's some weird avatar and it's not feeling right, I think we're going to have to really solve a lot of problems with just like how you emote. Like right now we have 4 emotions on our avatars, but they're kind of extreme and they're very comedic. So I think you nailed a really hard problem. Drama is going to be really hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that those are some great answers, and it seems like you guys know the difficulty, which is good. So yeah, it's just a matter of what is the solution.
What is the solution? And we've been looking into camera tracking as well. That might be a way to approach it. And we do have a FOV, but we haven't implemented it yet. So.
Oh, nice. Huh. So maybe that could actually be a good way to differentiate yourself from Mindshow as well, to try to hit up something serious, well, of course, as soon as you guys can, and I could just see people really getting, that whole storytelling aspect of VR and how that's hard to tackle. So yeah, something emotional, right? Everybody's looking for the emotional impact from these VR experiences and these stories and dramas. So yeah, man.
I'm also looking forward to seeing more dance. I think dance itself would be a beautiful way of bringing kind of ballet and movement and I think that could be something moving, and maybe some of the drama in the beginning becomes more related to dance. I'm not sure, but I know the facial stuff's really important.
Right. And speaking of the FOV, so you haven't really used it yet, but that's a tool that you guys are going to get to
play around with. Yeah, we like the idea of we've spent a lot of time creating so when I look at somebody, my eyes will look, and then if I look away, they go to the next thing. If I look down, they look to it. If I have an object in my hand, my eyes will look at the object. And so we've done a lot of this automated eye movement, and then incorporating with blinks. And the thing is with that is it'd be nice to just blink, actually measure blinks and eye looks. And the problem with integrating with the FOV is that if the FOV doesn't become, something, we spend a lot of development time, when next, Toby integrated with the HTC Vive might just be the thing that becomes the next thing. And as a developer, as a developer that worked on early Oculus stuff, during the beta of the social, we had to rework our social integration 3 or 4 times as the developer teams at Oculus were changing their platform. I don't think we want to be in a place now where we're supporting things that are just that you don't really know where they're going. And so we're still figuring that out, because we have 2 developers on our team, and so we really need 4. Yeah,
it's nice to have, really cool, but how important is eye tracking right at the stage to pour that kind of resources into?
I think it's good for research. If we had a research division, which I wish we did, I would be eye tracking, bodysuits, trackers, and just asking questions like you're saying. How do we get drama? How do we get emotion? And it's tough to do with 2 people, right?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Anybody got any other questions, comments? We have Les here.
Sure. Did you ever release Light Show?
We didn't release Light Show. Light Show was what Light Show became was the technology that we're using to record our stuff in Flipside for VR.
Oh, interesting.
Was what we used to. So Light Show became our experiments to our recording tech in Flipside.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love your guys' story, the evolution, of people's lives, period. And then, Campfire Union, really smart group you guys got going on there.
We're working on it. We just need people now to give us some cash.
All right, no problem. We got a bunch of people here that can donate $5.
Send her on a hat.
Just do a little virtual hat and buy a cup of coffee at the end of the day.
For the poor.
Lesley's contact information will be put up at some point, right?
How much cash do you need?
Oh, you think it would come up on the screen, but I didn't do that. But we will make sure to cover it. Yes, Dusty, what's up, dude? And PK has a question too.
How much cash do you need?
There you go. Angel investor right here in the
for a
audience.
team of 11 for 2 years. That'd be great. So whatever that comes to. So.
Well, that's a lot.
$1 million or two. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
$1 million's okay, but if you got two, that's
I might be able to, you want to do a little donation, I might be able to do like 5-10 grand.
Oh, wow.
A little net donation, but I want a piece of this though,
Well, okay, well...
Leslie, I'd be happy to talk to you offline.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, you're going to have a piece of this. You want a section of Gunter's universe?
Gunter, we can talk offline.
Take your money.
Oh, yeah, no.
He's like, no, I don't want this. This is this is a chat room, dude.
You can get a Gunter coin.
Hey, Hans, would you take over?
Hey, PK, what's your question?
I was wondering about Winnipeg. Well, first of all, I know the cost of living is super low there, so that must help for developing a little bit. But I'm from Manitoba, and I've never heard of it. I know because of the long winters, there's like a really vibrant art scene, but I haven't heard of anybody working on VR there till you guys. So is there anybody else, or is it just your team?
First of all, it's cool. Manitoba's awesome. There's actually a few. There's a bit space development. There's another company called the Electric Monk Media, and there's another company, and I keep forgetting their name because I'm bad with names. So there's like 4 of us, and there's a few others actually. There's about 7 or 8 companies, but they're kind of quiet. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard of any of these guys.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is, so like, okay, this is I like to kind of make fun of this a little bit, but when you're from a place like Manitoba, which is like actually quite a beautiful place, you always want to compare yourself though to like Silicon Valley, right? And so Winnipeg has this place in Winnipeg called Innovation Alley, right? So and it's this idea that there's like a street in Winnipeg that has like kind of innovative stuff going on. And sometimes I like to joke about it, and I call it Innovation Back Alley, because, I think it's a little bit more funny. Because I feel like sometimes what we end up doing is we keep forgetting, as like, in small places, we keep on looking up to the big places when we should stop doing that. Like, we should stop doing these, like, hey, we've got Innovation Alley. It's like, no, let's not do that. We should actually be kind of defining ourselves as on our own,
Yeah.
And so I think we're starting to with like some cool stuff that's coming out of Winnipeg. Do you remember the Fantastic Contraption trailer?
Yeah,
absolutely. So Kurt Gartner is the guy who kind of innovated in that space. So he's from Winnipeg, and most people don't realize this, but the co-founder from Alchemy Labs, Devin Reimer, is from a small town in Manitoba called Morden. And so we've got
the
these
next town over.
Oh, so I'm from Altona. So
I'm from Winkler.
Okay, so we're having
in the water up there.
Manitoba moment here. Yeah. And so there's this, I think people forget, like every region of the world has these pockets of innovation, and it's cool. Winnipeg and Manitoba is doing some cool stuff, actually.
You'd be interested in some of the stuff PK's doing.
With Guy Madden? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Winnipeg has this genius director named Guy Madden. I mean, it's not really comedy, but he's kind of funny. I don't know if he'd ever think of doing some kind of VR piece.
Yeah, for sure. He's doing stuff, but it's weird. It's easier for us to get connected with people out here than getting connected with people in Winnipeg because of weird politics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how it always goes, though. A little inside. Yeah, what's going on? What do you do, PK?
I was just thinking on Saturday what you did here in VR chat, the whole audio visual, event. I mean, you do a lot of things.
I have like a little record label, and I'm trying to make VR music videos and doing some like live shows with visuals here. So it's a big learning process with Unity, but it's really fun when it starts working occasionally.
Yeah, no, it's blast.
The show was amazing.
We love the work that you and the artists, DJs and modelers, are just doing. It's really cool. We have snags because it's VR and it's social, but man, that last set on Saturday was freaking awesome. I mean, just the whole world's transforming in different geometry or 360 videos or landscapes, going to DJs that he knows their music, and they came in and was a part of the experience, and your
Super
ideas
cool.
are great. Yeah.
I like that. We're gonna have to connect offline for sure.
More questions, more thoughts?
Yeah, we need to talk.
So Flipside VR is where you can learn about Flipside and Campfire Union. That's the company.
Yeah. Why don't I give you? I'll just say my email address too, if people want to get a hold of me. So
there you go.
So it's Lesley, Lesley, so Lesley, and then at flipsidevr.com. So if you want to email me, Lesley at flipsidevr.com.
Hey, can people follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, so you can follow us at Campfire Union, or for me, it's at Les Klassen. Lesklassen, at Les Klassen.
Cool. And you can see the spelling up there on the boards.
Yeah.
Excellent. Definitely reach out. Definitely sign up for early access or sign up for the newsletter, things like that.
Yep. Early access sign-ups at flipsidevr.com. And what we're doing is we just want to know what you want to do with the platform, and if it's something that works with us, then we'd give you early access to create a show. So, and I would be interested in PK what you're doing with visuals. It might be interesting to see if there's a visual music show that we could do as well. So we need to learn a little bit more about what you're doing.
Oh, stop doing what you're doing here, though, or I might get in trouble.
Okay. Actually, never mind, PK. You just do what you got to do.
No.
We'll
This is all
it's all good.
This is all VR entertainment, and and there's no. I can't wait to check out those shows or all this stuff, man. It's so cool.
Yeah,
We're seeing a
for
lot
sure.
more shows pop up. Tomorrow we have Nomano and his gang doing the End Show. I don't think he's here today, but another show here in
He's
VR
right
Chat.
behind you, man.
End Game. There you are. I thought that was you over there because the avatar is the same, and then I was like, oh, that's not Nomano.
Oh, he's a wannabe.
Tell us about what's happening tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're talking about eye tracking and how it's invading your privacy, and they're going to try and convince us that we should care.
All right. I'm a big, I think I'll be a part of that because privacy has been a hot button lately, but it's a big one in my, in what I have opinions on. It's certainly, we got to make sure that that's done right, I think.
It's going to be a long conversation.
Yeah. Cool. Cool, and just to plug some other VR chat things, I think really it's just our developer meetup on Saturday and our Sunday meetups, our virtual world tours on Sunday. So come out for those things.
Don't forget.
What
Don't
else?
forget. One more thing.
I knew I was forgetting something. Pill, what are we forgetting?
We have a brand new event that is in VR chat. And that is on Saturday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Squats with Darren at the VR chat.
Exercise event. Squats with Darren.
Literally squats?
Darren.
Yes, we
literally
did squats.
There's something like this. I think this is
There's four
you're gonna
total
expect.
exercise moves, including squats, but squats is the focus. And workout clothing optional. Retro dance.
Clothing optional?
Workout clothing, not clothing optional.
a lot more interesting.
You know what I love about that, though? It's like, talk about working within the limits of your design, eh? It's like, weekend squat. Let's do a squat show.
Woo!
I thought it was quite brilliant that
I'm
I
totally
stumbled
blown away by
across that
that.
last Saturday. Yeah. Cool.
Man.
Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. and wee hours of the morning for EU.
Yeah, and Gunter,
okay.
Last thing, if you're gonna come by before in game, swing by, put on a cartoon character if you have one. Chill out with us for about an hour before the show starts.
Is the theme just cartoons?
Just cartoon characters. So you got a pretty
I thought it had to be a
wide
Saturday morning cartoon.
I don't. That's what I'd like, but wear what you want.
I mean, half the people here, or half of people come to our chat might not understand what a Saturday morning cartoon is, because what? YouTube is where I watch my cartoons, right? I don't know. They still do that?
You're like, what's a Saturday?
Not really. No, Saturday morning cartoons disappeared. I mean, it's not like you won't find any cartoons because they're all on like Disney Channel, the Cartoon Network. There's no,
the old cartoon
broadcast.
The dedicated cartoon channels killed them. Like, why would you wait for Saturday when you can watch Nick or whatever? There's
I see.
Oh man, I love
there's a
my
whole
Saturday
story.
morning
Actually,
cartoons.
I know a little bit about that story. We should talk a little bit about the death of the Saturday morning cartoons. And there is a room.
They died.
They did. They started. It's a. Yeah, and there's like stupid shows like those animal shows for kids would come around. Those stupid.
Years, so I'm like out of touch.
Well, they died in basically the 90s.
Submarine
That's pretty much the. Anyways, we'll talk about cartoons some other day. It's definitely a love and a passion. All of us too. We love animation, so I love that kind of stuff. Les, anything else that you would like to share before we explore the universe?
I'm just super thankful to be down and chatting here. This has been great, and thanks. Yeah,
absolutely, man. It's been a while, man. We've been knowing each other for years. We were at a lot of connects. We've been at the beach house doing podcasts, Ubercasts with OC1.
I met you at OC1 at the end of OC1. It was the last day, and I remember running into you, and I'm like, "You're crazy. I need to take a photo of you." And that's that.
Taking a lot of photos, and
there you go.
OC1.
Hey Gunter, you should show them
confirmation.
3D models of avatar of you.
Oh yeah. Thank you. See, this is my hive mind here. People that have good ideas tell me, and then I'm like, yeah.
Oh, no way!
Wonderful. This is a crazy guy.
This is creepy. This is all creepy.
I'm like, yeah, this is so good. I come up to this is Very cool. Wait. Sarah,
I love how you move into
Sarah Realm over here. She has her face on all these different bodies. That's her real face. So she's done a version of this.
Wow, that's great.
Oh,
she's,
nice.
her face
Super
on
cool.
everything. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's what I want to do too. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Just
Keep
go
the
to
face.
town on every avatar in chat.
Yeah. Well, actually, when you're at my show, boom, all of your faces are replaced with mine.
I feel like you need to. I feel like you need to do like a robot dance thing with this avatar. It'd be so good.
All right, I have to practice. Okay, I'm not going to do that now, but I got my mission.
You kind of have been. So.
Oh, I guess I have no thing. Yeah, they're just. I don't know what these are. They're pancakes with them. Pancake flippers. Okay, Bob, what's going on Left-Handed VR podcast? Because you do another show. It's an audio podcast, and it's funny.
Yeah, so there's three of us. We're all left-handed VR people.
Dusty, we hear you, brother.
We're going to record our next show either this Sunday or the following Sunday. And, so that's, if you want to follow us, we're at LHVR Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and we're on all the major podcasting platforms.
It's the OG podcast, VR podcast.
Yeah,
it's
going for almost 3 years.
Left-handed. Yeah, man. Jason and Holotape. Holotape was here last week or so,
Yeah, Matt was here last week.
Great. Just great, funny people, so check that out. If you guys have not listened to Left-Handed VR podcast and you've been here all this time, you need to download and check it out. You'll probably listen to it while this show is going on because it's just so much more funny and interesting. Great stuff. Follow me at Gunters Universal on Twitter, and now my phone's ringing. If only that happened a minute later. then it wouldn't be happening during the show. At Gunters Universe, GuntersUniverse.com, you know where to find me and all that stuff. Come back here next Tuesday. This is my funny flipper face saying good night. See you next time. Cheers. Boom.